You know, if you've been laid off from your job, but maybe you have a couple more days before you have to leave, a couple of weeks, or maybe even a couple of months, you might be tempted to vent your frustrations before walking out the door.
And that may not be a good thing. Keep in mind that your actions can have a very deep impact on your career prospects. Here to tell us how to handle the bad news is career and life coach Mary Abbajay. So, don't talk about your boss.
Don't talk about your boss.
Down.
No, definitely don't burn anything down. This is not the time for a temper tantrum. This is not the time for an emotional, like, crying jag. This is not the time for slamming doors. This is not the time for screaming through the office, this place sucks, right? It is the time to just really be mature, and because there's a lot of things you have to do before you walk out that door. So, no, you do not want to go out in a hail of, you know, proverbial gunfire or crying.
I imagine it's hard. Yeah, no gunfire.
Please, no gunfire.
Proverbial gunfire.
Please, no. But, you know, it's just so hard to keep your emotions in check when that's happening.
It is. And that, you know, it is, and it's so important to do so, because here's what's going to happen. Let's say that you get laid off. It's going to hit you like a ton of bricks. But I should back that up and say, you know, it probably shouldn't hit you like a ton of bricks. Everybody should be prepared for this, no matter what you're in these days, okay? And there's a couple things you want to do. You want to be able to keep your wits about you, because there's business you have to take care of before you walk out that door, right? You've got to hear about the severance package. You want to take the time to go say goodbye to the people in your work environment and let people know what happens. You want to, first and foremost, preserve a relationship with your boss and with the people there. So you want to keep yourself together so you can ask questions like, can I get a letter of reference? Is there a chance that you might be rehiring? You know, what is your what is the severance package? You know, so you need to really keep your wits about you.
You know, I'm always amazed at how many people in my career, 30 years, show up at a new prospective job that you used to work with in years past, and that's when that old advice about not burning your bridges really comes home to roost.
That's absolutely right. The world of business is a small business, and Washington D.C. is a small town, and so you are going to see these people again. So if you leave in a hail of tears and recriminations, chances are you're going to run into those people soon, and those people are the ones that you need to help you give you leads for new jobs. You're going to need them for references. They may even be interviewing you in a year or so. So it's really important that you don't freak out, or that you don't shut down totally, because I think what also happens is people just shut down and they just leave. They're so embarrassed or horrified they just leave. That's not right either. Go through the exit interview. Be positive in the exit interview. Give some good ideas to the employer, but don't use it as a time to, you know, twist the knife.
Yeah, people know people. Now, okay, say if you got your pink slip and you're wondering, you know, why me and not the woman next to me in the cubicle? What's the difference? Is it a good idea to, maybe not on the first day when you're emotionally charged, maybe the day after, you know, after you've relaxed a little bit, go into your boss's office and say, why me?
Yeah, you know what? I think that's a great idea. And you want to make sure you don't say, why not her? You know,
yeah, that's true. Because she sucks. Why not her?
Why don't you get rid of Doug? You know, he's just, you know, but you do, like, go in. If you can keep yourself composed, do it right then. Or have coffee with your boss in a week or two. And really use this opportunity to both network and say to your boss, you know, I really liked working here. What other suggestions do you have in this field? And can you give me some advice on how I can make my career and my experience, my next job, more recession-proof, more layoff-proof, and find out from him, get some really good feedback about what it is you could do better to be a better employee or someone who's more sought after. Absolutely.
Let me suggest an alternative theory, and I'm curious what your response is to this. Suppose you do throw a tantrum. Right. Suppose you trash your boss.
Doug's like this. He's like, let's be realistic about this.
Really, because we live in a capitalist environment where a lot of companies are in intense competition against one another. And if you trash the people who just let you go, you might perhaps find yourself more valuable to their intensely competitive competitor?
You know, you would think that's true, but here's what actually happens. Okay, so let's say that you trash them and you guys are awful. I'm going to go work for Company A, and that's great. Initially, Company A might be like, oh, come, you know, what is it, your enemies or my friends or whatever that is. But what happens is during the interviewing process, when you start trashing, and let's say you go to work for NBC, okay, you go to interview at NBC, you start trashing ABC.
I'm not going to go back there.
Been there, done that.
After what I did there.
But we get the point. I mean, they'll think, wow, you're going to do that to us.
Exactly. So they start projecting to the future, and they actually let go of what's going on now, and they start thinking, if this is how he handles being let go by that company,
we're going to be next.
You're going to be next. So it's a very dangerous thing. I know it seems very attractive, but it usually doesn't work in your favor.
Not as good to your benefit.
So
okay.
we were joking earlier about don't bring the gun to work, and we all laughed about it. There have been real cases where people have done that.
Ooh.
What do you do with all of that pent-up stress and that anger, that visceral anger you feel at having been let go?
Well, first of all, you have to acknowledge that you have it. I think what happens to a lot of people is they stuff that down, and then they go to the bar, or then they do this, or they do that. So you have to realize that this is going to cause an emotional upset. For some people, it might come out as anger. For other people, tears. For other people, frustration. For other people, sadness, grief. If you have anger, you have to find an appropriate way to release it. I think this is personal, so you have to figure out what works for you. It might be going to the bar and having drinks. It might be running. It might be exercise. It's not going to be a one-time shot. Because what happens is puts you into a transition phase. You're going to have these feelings for a while, and they're going to get other feelings. So you have to find ways to have appropriate outlets for these kind of feelings. Don't take it out on your family.
Don't put it on one person either.
And don't put it on one person.
Yeah.
And at some point, you do have to pick yourself up by the bootstraps and get back to work.
You absolutely have to. That's right. And if this happens to you, this is a great time to reevaluate what you want out of your life.
Some people don't like to say if they're going in for the next interview, especially now, I've been fired. I've been fired.
But you haven't been fired if you've been laid off. And there's a big difference. The word layoff really means it was the company's situation that caused you to lose your job.
These days it's a little bit more acceptable, I would say, because it's happening to so many of us.
It's happening to so many people. When you're fired, it means you messed up. When you're laid off, it kind of means the company messed up or the economy messed up.
Okay.
So there isn't that much shame in being fired or being laid off. And if you do get laid off, you have to let people know right away. Let all of your contacts know. Make sure your friends know how to reach you, even your friends of your friends, and everyone in your network. Make sure you say goodbye to all of your colleagues before you leave. Resist the temptation to slink out. They need to know how to reach you because they're going to be your best sort of frontline looking for jobs.
Another question for you. I notice when I get calls from former colleagues who have lost their jobs or are looking for work, and they get that call, and they have that sound of desperation in your voice, or that look of desperation. You can just see it from a mile away. It's almost like the lonely single person who wants to date, and they exude that.
You don't mean you, Natasha.
They exude that desperation, which is a turnoff to the prospective datee or a turnoff to the prospective employer. How do you mask that desperation?
Well, I'm going to turn that around by asking you, because that is a perfect example. So what is it? Let's say a colleague is going to call you, and they clearly need you to help them look for a job, or what have you heard? What about them makes you want to help them? What do you want to hear in their voice?
Just a sense of empathy. A sense of empathy. You can relate to their
But
troubles.
what do you want to hear from them, like the person calling you?
That I'm a good worker. This is a setback, but you know what? I'm ready to start over again, and I'm a good worker, and I'm proud of what I've done.
Yeah.
It's got to be a good place for me.
Bingo. So there's a level, that's exactly right. There's a level of confidence. There's a level of positivity, right? Looking forward. There's a level of, I'm going to do what it takes, and I'm willing to do what it takes, and this is not going to get me down. So that's exactly right. When you call people, you have to make sure that you are not desperate, and you have to be able to frame this as an opportunity, not as a desperate time.
Yeah,
Mary Abbajay, you've got a good head on your shoulders.
Oh, thank you,
I
Doug.
told you that the last time.
You are hired.
I'm hired.
I don't know what for, but you're hired.
Well, don't fire either of you, because...
Thanks, Mary.
Thank you.